Welcome back to another episode of After the Whistle. I'm D'Angelo Starks.
And I'm Kellen Voss. Let's get right into it. At this point last month, the Grand Valley State men's basketball team were 12-11 and looked like just another average team in the GLIAC. But in the past 2 weeks, the Lakers have been on a bit of a hot streak. GVSU went into the GLIAC tournament as the 7th seed, winning their first game against 2-seeded Ashland 72-61. Jake Van Tubergen led all Lakers in scoring with 27. The GLIAC semifinals was a back-and-forth affair with Wisconsin Parkside that was tied at 53 with 30 seconds left. After an errant pass from Hunter Hale, Jeremiah Ferguson collected the ball, gave a quick crossover, and launched a mid-range jumper that bounced on the rim twice before rolling in to secure victory for the Lakers. Following the buzzer beater, GVSU would face Davenport the following day, and with Ferguson leading the way with 27, GVSU was named the GLIAC champion and will compete in the NCAA Tournament next week. Lakers will play on Friday at 5 p.m. as they travel to Lewis to face the Lewis Flyers, the 1 seed in the Midwest region.
The Grand Valley State women's basketball team ended the regular season on top of the GLIAC before beating Wayne State in the opening round of the GLIAC Tournament, 73-50. It was yet another dominant win for the Lakers as Maddie Daly led all Lakers with a career-high 28 points. Cassidy Bench, Jen DeBoer, and Victoria Hedemark all scored in the double digits. The Lakers didn't fare as well in the GLIAC semifinals as they were upset by Northern Michigan 47-38. While Bench had 18 points, the rest of the team only made 8 of their 30 total shots and a rare loss for the Lakers. After the early exit, the Lakers fall to 27-3 on the year and will look to get things back on track in the NCAA Tournament this week.
Finally, the Grand Valley State men's and women's track and field teams competed at the NCAA Indoor Championships this weekend, with the men's team placing 4th with 33.25 points and the women's team placing 2nd with 64 points. The Grand Valley State Sports Report caught up with head coach Jerry Baltes after the meet.
We're here in Pitt, Kansas for the 2019 Indoor Track and Field Championships. We start off the day in no better fashion than Bobby Goodwin winning the weight throw. Lifetime best, over a meter PR, and just goes out and rocks it. So awesome job, Bobby Goodwin. Great way to start the day for our team in 10 points. And throughout the day we had a lot of good things happen. Our DMRs close out the night with a 3rd place finish. Rachel Walters did a great job leading us off. Heather Johnson ran an outstanding 400 leg, probably the fastest in the field. Abby Crouch, who's mainly been a miler, we put her in the 800 leg, ran a great split to keep us in the mix. And then Allie Ludge battled it out for that 3rd, 4th spot, ran a great last 400 meters to put us on the podium in 3rd place. So Zach Panning was just outstanding in this 5K tonight. Went out front, him and Sydney from Adams State traded the lead a couple times, and Zach had to basically take the lead spot for the second half of the race and tried to put the hurt on Sydney, and Sydney just came up on the end. But huge indoor school record for Zach by I think 12 seconds or so. Lifetime best from his outdoor PR, so 13:45, just outstanding effort for Zach. And then to end out the night, our DMR was just outstanding. Leading off, John Grondike, a redshirt freshman of ours, put us in the mix. Andrew McFarland ran an outstanding 400-meter leg, and then Nick Solomon ran a great 800 leg to put us in the lead. Dennis Buta ran a strong effort, had to lead the whole way, probably the toughest spot to be in. He got swallowed up in going into the last lap, and then Dennis did a great job of coming back and picking people off over the last 60 meters and getting us back on the podium. Day 2 of the NCAA Championships was a great day for our Lakers. Got off early and often in the 60 dash. Angelica Floyd makes the podium again with another 7th place finish. She did a wonderful job over 2 days. She's going to do some great things over the next couple of years, so we're really proud of her 2 7th place finishes over the 2 days. So, and then we went to the mile, and we felt Allie could be in the mix to win it, and gave it a great go. And the 2 Adams girls just had a little bit more at the end. She ran a great tactical race, closed it out really strong for her 6th place finish, coming off the anchor in the DMR last night. Then Rachel Walters gave a wonderful go on that 800, that Skyland Webb from Colorado Springs. Took it out hard, and Rachel sat right there and just couldn't get around her at the end. School record time, just an outstanding effort. I think probably the second fastest time in NCAA history. And then our pole vaulters, Ellie-Ann Kimes is ranked second coming in, so we sort of were hoping that she'd be in the mix and challenge for a individual title, but for Carly Livingston, barely made our GLIAC lineup, barely made the meet, and then was clean on her first 4 jumps to finish tied for second with Allie. So that was a huge 14 points for us in the middle of the meet. And our 3K ladies really battled hard the whole entire race. We're in a good position early, sort of slipped back a little bit with Patterson and Ludge, and then had a great last lap to move up, catch, I think it was 2 or 3 ladies, finished fifth and 6th. So, you think about what Allie Ludge did, run the prelim of the mile, anchor the DMR, final the mile, and then run 3,000 meters at the end of the meet, scoring 11.5 points for us. That was a great effort for Allie over the 2 days. Then our women's 4x4 ran the 5th fastest time in NCAA history. Ever 5th fastest time, 3:40 and change, crushes our school record. And so all first three legs ran great, and then what can I say? Rachel Walters was a superwoman on the end, splitting 53.3 and passing the St. Augs lady, who's one of the best 400 hurdlers in the world. So just awesome. Really proud of that crew. Rachel scored 11 points for us over the course of the 2 days. Prelim of the 8, DMR final, 800 final on the 4x4. So great effort for our ladies with the NCAA runner-up finish. Scored 64 points. Most years 64 points wins the title. So hats off to Adams, but really proud of our ladies and how they put together a great 2 days of competition and racked up the points. On the men's side, we started off the day with Jordan Johnson in the 60 dash. Came in ranked, I think, 11th, 12th, and ended up finishing 8th. So a great race for him. First year in uniform for us as a transfer. Then we moved on to the, I think, 800 was our next race on the docket, and Dennis Buta ran a very smart, tactical race and closed strong over the last 60 meters to finish NCAA runner-up, and just had a great effort. Probably the 3rd or 4th fastest time in our school history, so a great race for him. Then Zach Panning got on the track again and led pretty much the whole 3,000 meter race and gave it a go, and just unfortunately for Zach, got passed by the 2 Adams guys over the last lap, but a valiant effort and a great 2 days of racing for Zach. If it was NASCAR, he'd get a prize for most laps led. So just really proud of Zach and how he competed over the course of the 2 days and led our program and put us in a position to potentially win. And then our 4x4s at the end of the night, school record, one of the fastest time we've ever run in our school history, indoor or outdoor. So 4 great legs. The guys finishing 4th, only 4 points out of winning the national title. You sit there and if this, that, or whatever, but just really proud, very, very thankful and happy for what our crew put together over the 2 days. So.
That is all we have for you this week. Be sure to tune in next week for much more. For now, I am D'Angelo Starks.
And I'm Kellen Voss. For the rest of the crew, all game, all season, always on After the Whistle. Welcome back to another episode of Every Month is March, bringing you the latest and greatest in college basketball news. I am Kellen Voss.
I'm Mike Maffey.
As you can see, Mike's a little under the weather, but we're going to fight through the pain here and talk about Michigan State. Not a great game for us Michigan fans. Cassius Winston might be the best player to ever play basketball, according to the game. It's clear that this Michigan team is a different team without Charles Matthews, because we were lacking depth already, and to not have him now just makes the depth even worse, I would say.
I think if we look, the way this game ended, if we just took the first half, we saw Cassius Winston arguably playing one of the worst games he played all year. Mm-hmm. Brad Zakis came out, put up 12 in the first 3 minutes.
Teskey was all over Tillman. Yeah,
mm-hmm. They were playing fantastic. But then Iggy got foul trouble, had to sit the rest of the first half, so it's kind of stagnant. And then I don't know. Izzo talked up his team, and they came out a totally different team.
Oh
in the
yeah,
second half.
it's. I just kept on seeing the highlight of Cassius Winston, like they said, globetrottering the Michigan team, where he just like was zigging and zagging all around. It's a fun highlight to watch, but it's also disappointing to think that that's one of the most elite defenses in college basketball, and that kid just carved it up like a Thanksgiving turkey. Honestly, this Michigan team is a lot worse without Charles Matthews. You can see that they don't have that. Obviously, he's not a great shooter, but he was a deferred scorer that they always went to towards the end of games or in clutch moments, and to just not have that there is bad. And they were already a team that only played like 6 or 7 guys, and so to lose Charles Matthews, you need a guy like Colin Castleton, David DeJulius, Eli Brooks to like step up in that role. And in the game against Michigan State, none of them did that.
No, yeah, we saw that. And both sides of the ball, Michigan State, both teams reached further into their benches this game.
Yeah.
And we definitely saw once the fact that Michigan had to do that, none of those players really got the chance or were able to step up and prove themselves. They struggled.
Yeah. And the seniors played really well for Michigan State in that game. Matt McQuaid shot the ball pretty well. Kenny Goins had probably the best game I've seen him play in a while, just because he's been super up and down in terms of inconsistencies, but he shot the ball really well in clutch moments. Props to Michigan State, because they've kind of hit this stride over the past 2 or 3 weeks where this is kind of, they said Izzo's the king of March. Like this, you can see runs like that is the reason why. And it's all going to come down to this Big Ten tournament towards here this upcoming week, where I believe State's the 1 seed, State's the 2 seed, Purdue's the 1 seed, Michigan's the 3 seed. And so out of those 3 teams, who do you potentially see coming out of that Big Ten tournament?
I think it's going to be tough because those 3 teams have definitely played each other well. I think it all depends on, as me being the Michigan fan, I'd like to say Michigan, but it's going to be tough. I know Beeline always gets them ready for the Big Ten tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, we saw them just come out of nowhere and take the Big Ten tournament, and they just played fantastic. So I want to say that I can trust Beeline to run this team. But at the same point, Purdue's played great basketball.
Exactly, yeah.
He's always played. There's rumors that Nick Ward's going to be back for the Big Ten tournament. So once he's back, that Michigan team's going to get one of their best players.
Right.
Which I don't know if it's necessarily going to help because Tillman's playing good ball.
Tillman is playing good ball right now.
We saw him play a very good game against Michigan and kind of, I would say, won the battle against Teskey this past game. So I think just with them two going back and forth, it's going to be tough. So I'd have to say I don't think Michigan's going to come out on top. I would have to probably say either Michigan
This doesn't
State
feel like the same Michigan State team that lost Indiana 3 weeks ago.
No.
This feels like the Michigan State team that's on a roll. You can see it in the faces of Tillman and Goins and McQuaid and all these guys that were role players, that they just seem more confident in these big games. And the fact that they've had this winning streak going on right now, I think that if they can continue that winning streak into the Big Ten tournament, they're going to be a team to watch heading into the NCAA tournament. Switching from Big Ten talk to ACC talk now. Duke UNC was also this weekend, and UNC won yet again. It's interesting that in that first game, Luke May was kind of the star of it, but there was another star of this game that you wanted to talk about pre-show.
Yeah, so it was like within 2. It just felt like it was within 2 points the whole first half. Going into the second half, they were just battling. It was a beautiful basketball game, which I mean we'd expect out of these 2 teams. But then Kobe White just came out and took the game over. It seemed like he literally ran the floor, hit like 3 or 4 back, like just threes in a row, and then was just driving, finishing in that basket. It literally took them on like a 10-0 run, and they never looked back. Kobe White completely took over the game, and he's going to be a huge playmaker going into the ACC tournament and then the March Madness.
If I had to pick a team to win the NCAA tournament right now, I'd pick UNC, just because of the way they're playing. They beat Virginia, the 2 seed in the country, a week and a half ago, beat Duke fairly handily this weekend, and they fit the formula for me where they play great defense. Cam Johnson's a pesky guard up top. Luke May is a great leader of that defense. And then they have a couple of NBA-level guards. When you look at Kobe White, when you look at Johnson, when you look at Nazir Little and Seventh Woods off the bench, have been playing great as role players this season. And I think that team is just playing their best basketball at the right time. Granted, they did get to face Duke without Zion Williamson for both the games, so we don't know how they would play with Zion. Obviously, there's been reports that Zion will come back for the ACC tournament, which if Duke and UNC are the 2 and 3, so that they have the potential to match up again in the ACC tournament with Zion. But with that being said, UNC looks like the best team in college basketball right now.
I 100% agree. I was going to say the same thing. They're definitely not the most skilled team, but they play together well, and they can against the teams like Duke where they have just their all-star roster, that they can keep it close throughout the whole game, and all they need is just that one momentum push to go on that like 10-0 run and just take over the game. They're a team that's going to be tough to beat in the tournament.
Absolutely. And now, we're going to quick preview the NCAA tournament before we close out the show. We've kind of talked about a lot of teams this year that will be like big 1, 2, 3 seeds in the tournament. When you look at Michigan and Michigan State, obviously, looking at North Carolina, Duke, Virginia, Gonzaga is going to be in the mix. Tennessee's going to be in the mix. This is going to be an exciting year for the NCAA tournament, I would say.
And one of the craziest things is we're always used to Kansas basketball, and this is the first time they haven't gotten even a share of the title in I think 12 years. So it's kind of weird not seeing them in the mix of one of these top teams. But we were kind of talking about pre-show. This tournament, we have just so many good, talented teams that are just going to go head-to-head, and this tournament's going to be crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I saw Joe Lenardi's bracketology, the latest one that came out this morning, actually had Kansas faced off with Missouri State in that first round. It wouldn't shock me if Murray State pulls off that upset because Kansas has looked bad all year, and Ja Morant is the second-best player in college basketball.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting year. I think it's going to be a year full of upsets. Again, we were talking about it pre-show. A lot of these good teams have beaten each other, and they have experience knowing how to beat each other. So that's just going to make for more exciting tournament matchups, I think. I think it's going to be a year where we're going to see a lot of upsets early on, but I think towards the end of the bracket, we're looking at a lot of the 2 and the 3 seeds just because that they have like a solid core of 8 teams that Ken Pom has as the top 20 for offensive and defensive efficiency. That I think when you look at that group of Virginia, North Carolina, Duke, Michigan State, Gonzaga, and Michigan, I think one of those 6 teams wins it. That's what I have right now. I would say
these conference tournaments are really going to shape how these teams go into the tournament, like how they're going to do in those tournaments and get seeded and who they're matching up in the first and second rounds. Because one of the biggest storylines is Virginia could possibly get good chances they're going to get a 1 seed again if they're going to lose to a 16 seed
That would be
again.
insane.
That'd be hilarious for 2 years in a row. But it's just going to be an amazing tournament.
It is going to be an amazing tournament. And we're going to be covering it right here every month this March. Next week, the NCAA bracket comes out next Sunday, so we'll be previewing our matchups right here on every month this March. But until then, I continue to be Kellen Voss.
I'm Mike Mahaffey. See you next week.
Welcome into the Gen and Gelo show. We're back after spring break. I'm your host, Noah Jensen. D'Angelo Starks here. And a lot has happened with the Pistons, actually.
You mean a lot of winning?
A lot of winning has happened. I don't know if they know how to lose yet.
I'm pretty sure they might not ever lose.
They might be the best team in the NBA. They are right now. They're 12-2 in their last 14. They moved into the 6th spot in the East, tied with Brooklyn, but they had the tiebreaker.
And they played tonight.
Langston Galloway's playing great. Luke Kennard's playing great. Everybody
just go through the roster and everybody's
if you
playing
look
great.
at everybody on this roster, I mean, I'll just start with Langston Galloway. He's made 12 straight threes. He's about to set the franchise and NBA record for most threes made in a row. Luke Kennard's shooting 43%, I believe.
Averaging 20 points a game over
this stretch. He's playing great off the bench. Wayne Ellington's finally getting his stroke. Andre Drummond looks like a completely different player than we saw the first half of the season.
He looks like if he were playing at this level the entire season, averaging like 21 or 22 and 16 rebounds per game, he's an all-NBA center.
Absolutely. Right now, I mean,
he's not going to be, but I'm saying,
you got Joel and Nicole, those guys.
Joel is interesting because he's missed a few games now, but I mean, of course, he's still going to be in there. And then you have the way Cat's playing.
Yeah.
And so he's not going to get it, but he's
playing
right there.
He's playing at an all-NBA level right now. But one guy that I think that I've been getting a little frustrated about when they talk about the Pistons that they don't bring up is Reggie Jackson. The way that he's been able to play, he's shooting 50% from 3 right now in this stretch. The pick and roll with Andre is finally working. He's finally got his step back as far as getting to the bucket. It's starting to look like we have this pick and roll duel that we had a few years ago in 16 when we made it to the playoffs.
Reggie Jackson, that's one of the reasons he was acquired is because he is an elite pick and roll player when he's healthy and when he's on top of his game. And I think we kind of forget that. He gets kind of mixed up. And I'll be honest, I was out on Reggie Jackson, but I mean, he's continued to prove me wrong and he continues to play really well over and over and over. So it doesn't look like this is just a fluke. And obviously we've seen him play at this level before. So it seems like it's more getting back to the norm than just something that's kind of sporadic and kind of going to fade away.
I think a lot of Pistons fans, me included, like you said, were out on Reggie for a while, and it was really these injuries that were worrisome. I mean, that was the main reason. It wasn't that Reggie Jackson's not a good basketball player; it's that he's not healthy. And we brought in a new regime, we brought in a new training staff, and that's one of the things that I think an NBA team needs to value. It's one of the more,
it's overlooked.
It's very overlooked.
Absolutely.
It's a very overlooked part of an organization, because if you can't keep guys on the floor, your best players on the floor, guys a part of your big three, it's just not going to be able to work out.
Ever.
And we've seen that this training staff has kept Blake healthy. They've kept Reggie. They're getting Reggie healthier. We haven't seen that many big injuries. Luke was able to come back really soon and very well off of his shoulder injury this year.
Very
and
well.
So, we have a better training. I think this team is just finally finding itself. The Dwayne Casey effect's finally coming in. In this 14-game stretch, they have the best bench unit in the league. They're scoring 47 points per game off the bench,
Which is wild.
which is insane. I think at the beginning of the season they were around 25, 26. That was good for 22nd in the league, I think. And now they're
not ideal.
No, and now they're finally getting great bench production. Ish Smith is playing good.
Which he has been for most of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Ish Smith is also a very overlooked guy on this team. He gives what he's going to give every night. In the
Without a doubt.
box score, it's not going to show up every night, but what he does running the fast break and getting this offense moving is something that really gets overlooked.
Which he's always been really good at. And it's not just like they're beating up on bad teams. They've had a couple of really good wins, especially the overtime win against Toronto.
Yes.
That game was really good. They played amazingly.
Yeah, that's sort of where you felt like, okay, this team might have something going.
for
And
sure.
when they took care of the Bulls the way they did last night, yesterday afternoon,
The first game, it looked rough for about 3 quarters.
but being
and then
able
they
to
flipped
come
the
back,
switch.
having
Exactly.
Blake Griffin have that great fourth quarter that he did was amazing, and then winning the next night. Winning those back-to-back games is huge for an NBA team.
Even against a team like the Bulls, and if you look at their upcoming schedule, even though there's a few tough games in there, they have to play the Raptors again. I think they play the Trailblazers twice. Which
There's a
those
little
games
West
always gonna
Coast
be-
trip I think they have to go
there's-
on with Denver and Golden State.
So they play some top teams in the West, but even with that, they still play teams like the Suns. There's a mixture. They play the Pacers 2 more times, and I think we both feel pretty confident in that matchup.
Yeah,
I know the
absolutely.
Pacers are still playing well, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, they don't have Victor Oladipo. Sooner or later, you would think this
It has to fall off eventually.
a little bit. It's not. I don't think it's going to crash and burn by
course
any
not.
means, but I think they'll probably. I suspect them to fall to the 4 or the 5 seed at some point.
I would think
more
so.
more likely the 4 seed where they're at standings wise. But the Pistons are tied up with Brooklyn right now, and as you're talking about schedules, Brooklyn has one of
The toughest schedule.
the toughest schedule in the league
The number
rest
one
of the year.
toughest.
So does that make you feel good as a Pistons fan that they could grab that 6 seed?
Oh, I think it's all but certain that they're going to make the playoffs, and I think it looks pretty likely that they're going to finish at 6. I still think Brooklyn will make the playoffs, but
Yes.
it's going to be really tough because, like we said, they play a lot of tough games, and with Karis LeVert coming back, they're trying to work him back in while also, I mean, obviously we saw without Karis LeVert, D'Angelo Russell became an all-star.
Yeah.
So
Trying to
that'll
work
be,
those two guys in
exactly.
together is going to be tough, and it has been tough.
Yeah, because I mean, before the injury, we saw LeVert having a breakout year, and now post injury, we saw D'Angelo Russell have his best year, and now you're trying to mix those back together with a guy coming off of an injury that just, frankly, looked terrible. It looked really, really bad, but didn't turn out to be that way.
Yeah, the fact that he's even able to get back on the floor this season is
am
remarkable.
shocked.
The Pistons seem like, they have according to ESPN's BPI, I think they have a 99% chance of making the playoffs right now. They seem across all platforms to be the 6th seed. They seem to be a team
like
that's there seems to be 6 teams locked into playoff spots. The Pistons are one of
Yes.
them. Those last 2 spots, who do you think is going to fall in there?
I think Miami will make it. I think that I just believe in Eric Spoelstra. I do believe that he's a top 5 coach in the league. And then I think that the Nets are going to get in there too. So I think that'll round out the playoffs. And whoever has to play the Nets in the first round, I mean, that's
even
a
if
tough out.
even if it's Toronto, I mean,
It's still tough.
If
Like,
they're the
they're
8th
gonna-
seed, that's going to be tough.
They could produce, even if they get swept, it's going to be a tough sweep.
It could be like that 16 series with the Pistons and Cavs.
Exactly.
where-
Like you might sweep us, but like
You're not
You're gonna
it's not
work
gonna be
for it.
easy. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm probably with you there. Miami.
I don't like
Miami
Charlotte.
And Brooklyn.
I
Charlotte,
just-
they are Kemba Walker and a bunch of misfits.
And then you have the Magic,
who they were good this year to start the season. I mean,
yeah,
they're
they're whatever. Jonathan Isaac is playing better. Aaron Gordon is Aaron Gordon.
They just don't have. I don't think they have a point guard that's good enough to really run it. I mean, they have DJ Augustine, who's
You know who? No, I'm just kidding. He's not playing this
he
year.
can't even play yet. Markel's not.
I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard
But
anything about
I
him.
really like what Miami's actually doing. They changed
yeah.
their starting lineup. They have Hassan Whiteside, a $26
Off the
million
bench.
guy coming off the bench.
Bam Adebayo, man.
Justice Winslow is playing point guard.
I love it.
They just have their 5 best players on the floor,
Exactly.
and they're playing well. And so I'm with
It's
you
crazy
there.
how that works.
Yeah, it's crazy when you have your best players playing together. They're gonna.
It's almost like
you're gonna
they
win.
do better than when
Uh-huh.
you have like an overrated guy that gets
It's
paid
crazy.
too much money.
It's crazy, yeah.
It really is. It's wild, man.
The Eastern Conference playoff picture seems to be.
It's a lot more interesting than it has been.
Yes,
in
absolutely.
years
Mhm.
past.
And I think that we're going to get some, good matchups in the playoffs.
I hope so. It doesn't seem like any. I mean, whoever the Pacers play, I feel like it's.
As long
It's
as
going to be
Charlotte-
tough,
As
but I
long
don't.
as Charlotte doesn't make the playoffs, there's no team I'm not going to have fun watching in
Yeah.
the playoffs. I think.
With the Pacers being like the least watchable of them
Yeah.
all, but like still watchable.
And the Pistons
That's the thing.
probably the 7th least watchable.
I don't know what you're talking about. Pistons are the first
Yeah.
watchable. It's like Pistons, Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, Raptors.
All you hear on the Ringer is they talk about the Pacers-Pistons series. They don't even want to see that anywhere.
Because they don't want to see the Pistons
They don't want
in
to
the
see the
second
greatest
round.
team in the league. They just don't want
The
to watch
Pistons,
them. Yeah,
right?
they just don't want to watch
yeah,
them.
of course.
But that's going to do it for us here on the Gen and Gelo show. Be sure to tune in next week. We are going to have Unnecessary Roughness back with some free agency.
Because the Lions are winning free agency.
and the Super Bowl. They're going to talk about that next week. And
Fact.
we will talk about some more NBA news next week when we see it. But until then, I'm Noah Jensen.
I'm D'Angelo Starks. Peace.